Hey, you beautiful souls, beautiful sunshine here with the R Holistic Killer, aka Sonia B. So I'm back with another prophetic message. So with that being said, if you feel like the message does not apply, then let it fly, okay? But if you feel like you're sticking around to the very end, maybe there's a message that could be pertaining to someone that's within your immediate environment that maybe you're looking for answers for, that's something that's happening to them, or this could be a situation that could transpire even within your personal life within the next couple of weeks or couple of months. So take it how it resonates, okay? But again, if you feel like it doesn't apply, just let it fly. So let me just say this. First of all, I have a message for the divine feminine as well as the divine masculine. Some of you masculines have been in situations to where you guys have been on this journey for almost 5 years now. 5 years, okay? And I say all that to say that you guys have picked up feminine energies along the way. You guys have entertained feminine energies along the way. You guys have been in situations to where you had this typical type of person that you were interested in, but you didn't necessarily think that you would be serious with these specific people that you were interested in, which doesn't make sense. But anywho, so I say all that to say that some of you had discovered so much on your journey along the way, you know, whether you're feminine, whether you're masculine, or some of you guys have really discovered, have really seen some of the deep, dark secrets of even other people along this journey, in a sense, whether it was people that, you know, a specific type that you was looking at, just really looking deep down inside and realizing that, you know, just the ugliness of how some people can be. Okay, so everything that you thought was glitter and gold on this journey turned out to be the total opposite. You know, as they say, sometimes you think the grass is green on the other side, you go to the other side and you realize this grass is not green. Okay, it's not what it seems to be. So I say all that to say, now you guys are dealing with situations because you're in a situation now that you're unsure of the unknown. So therefore, if you keep befriending certain people, in a sense, and you keep, it's always the same people, okay? Either somebody that you feel like it's almost like a project for you, in a sense. So it's always okay. Thank you, Spirit. Let me say this. I just did an innocence. Has your innocence been stolen from you? You may want to watch that on TikTok. So I say all that to say that if you had a situation, thank you, Spirit. If you had a situation where your innocence was stolen from you as a child, be mindful, because these things affect you as well too, okay? And I say all that to say that sometimes we can have a level of abandonment, trust issues, neglect, guilt, and shame in our lives, and it's all stemming back from our childhood. So you have to understand that what you don't heal as your child, whatever you don't heal in your childhood, it affects you in your adulthood, okay? And I say all that to say that it could be people, places, and things that are affecting you. So sometimes something may seem so familiar to you, and this can come in a form of a person, okay? Right now we're talking about people because that's what this video is about. This can come in a form of a person, and this can come in a form of a person or a type of person that you tend to attract towards yourself, whether it's somebody who has kids or whether it's somebody you feel like you look at them as a project, somebody that you feel like you need to help, in a sense, okay? So I want to say that you can't help anyone unless you help yourself first, okay? First of all, foremost, okay? So if your cup is not full, how the hell are you going to help somebody else, okay? And not only that, but keep in mind as well too that when you do things like you're reaching out to people rather than focusing on yourself, you can keep drawing in these same people. It's almost like different people but same scenarios, okay, where eventually these people get upset, they get mad at you, in a sense, because you know there's always something in your way that's keeping your attention off of them completely, and they tend to take offense to that. So therefore sometimes you don't even realize that sometimes these people are truly blocking you from what it is that God has for you, okay? And you're doing this to your own demise, is just what I heard, okay? So you can't blame anybody else for it. You know, some of you guys talk about you want love, you want this, you want that, but you're not willing to do what it takes in order to receive that, in a sense, okay? You keep settling for less than what you deserve rather than going into the direction where God has pointed you at, in a sense, okay? Just because it's not showing up in a way that you don't want doesn't not necessarily mean that it's not for you, okay? So you have to realize that God's ways is not your ways, in a sense, okay? So, which is interesting. Thank you, Spirit. I was just told to read the scripture real quick, okay? So your ways are not God ways, okay? So you have to keep that in mind. See, God he's up here, so he can see everything, every thought, every mindset, every heart, every whether somebody is coming with good intentions or not. He sees all of that. And when he's pointing you in a direction and you keep going in this direction, you only end up hurting yourself, because again, God knows what is best for you. Which is funny, because the scripture that came through today was Isaiah 55 and 8 through 9. And it says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." Okay, so remember that. In a sense, like sometimes, we think that, sometimes I just heard, sometimes we think we know it all. Okay, and I always tell myself that I know a whole lot about nothing. Okay, so when I say that, that leaves me room to learn more. Okay, and I say all that to say I don't go around saying, "Oh, I know this, oh, I know that," and when you do that, basically you're cutting yourself off from divine wisdom. Okay, and just basically saying that you know everything. Okay, because there's so much out here to learn. There's so much unknown. Okay, anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is that, again, some divine masculines, you have been in your own way, because again, you keep picking up these projects along the way. So the way I saw this was, it was as if, some of you divine masculines have been, let's just say that you may have befriended someone recently, in a sense, who has a child. Okay, and y'all was just kind of having conversation, just talking. I didn't feel like the conversation was out of nowhere. Okay, but then all of a sudden it's like the conversation moves from outside, talking at nighttime outside, to talking inside into one's apartment. Okay, and just having conversation in an apartment. So the way I saw this was, it was as if your divine masculine counterpart was having a conversation with this female who was standing outside, who has a child in some sort of way. Okay, and for some, they may have a child, and for some they may not. But for those who it's applying to, I really feel like they have a child. Okay, anyway. So I say all that to say that they were having a conversation, and it's like all of a sudden the divine feminist energy shows up. Okay, like at the apartment, energetically, not physically but energetically. So it's almost like the woman shift the change in your divine counterpart as they having a conversation. And even the divine masculine is, at this point, he is even distracted by the energy, because it's almost like she shows up. Now he has to be real and authentic, in the sense of speaking his truth. See, when she comes in his presence, he has no choice but to be real and authentic. Okay, because she is that catalyst, in a sense. Okay, so even though she was there energetically, basically what was happening was the woman he was talking to, she was sitting there and she saw and knew that he was becoming distracted by something. And I felt like she felt I felt like she was trying to keep his energy occupied, because it's almost like she went from being on one side of the couch to, "Hey, look at me, I'm over here, I'm talking," and to like engage him in conversation so that he doesn't get sidetracked. So be mindful of that, because some people is trying to keep your energy occupied off of what it is that God has for you, and keep your energy occupied on them so that they can sidetrack you. Okay, and if you guys haven't learned yet, it's been 5 years now, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, seriously, this has been the same cycle. How many more cycles do you need to keep repeating, and lessons do you need to keep repeating? Okay, so we're coming up on the day and time for the next 2.5 years to 3 years. You don't want to be locked in that same energy again, doing the same thing that you was doing for the last 3 years, because again, that energy may find itself, we're moving into a new time frames. So this is the opportunity to get out of your own way, to do what you need to do, say what you need to say, speak up, or do what you need to do to get out of that stuck energy that you have been in the last 2.5 years. Because again, some people are going to find themselves either repeating the same cycles, or on that a hamster wheel again, or either they're going to get out of their own way. So anyway, but she was trying to keep him distracted into a conversation, and he knew he was being distracted as well, because she was there. But basically what it ended up happening was, the two of them started to get into an argument, in a sense. So because she got into her feelings, because he was distracted now, because the divine feminine's presence was there, it's almost like she got upset, and he told her, he said, "Well, you just upset because you and I would never be in a relationship." And then she got upset. She stood up, and she was just basically saying, trying to throw the guilt trip. She basically said, "Well, I helped you to lose some weight, and you was just starting to see results, in a sense." And all he could do was just stand there and be like, "Yeah, you did, and I thought if you could have saw how I saw it in the dream, it was just kind of funny. But anyway, so I say all that to say, again, don't let people make you feel guilty or whatever, because whatever this individual chose to do, they chose to do it because that's what they chose to do. So if they had a hidden agenda about why they was doing it, trying to get kudos or whatever the case may be, that's their issue. Okay. So anyway, but that is it for that particular message. So this other message came through as if it was like, some of you guys, your innocence was stolen from you as a child. Okay. So be mindful of this, because sometimes when people's innocence is stolen from them as a child, it can affect you in your adult life. Okay. Which is hint what I just talked about with that other dream I just gave you. Because sometimes when your innocence is stolen away, and it starts to affect you emotionally, it can start to affect you emotionally in your adult life in some sort of way. Okay. So what ends up happening is that traumatic experience that you may have experienced as a child, whatever it could have been a situation of a divorce, a death, or someone going into foster care, or a situation of, a parent possibly drinking or doing narcotics, or, anything of that nature in a sense. Okay. I say all that to say that, sometimes those things can create within our environment, stress, anxiety, spiritual depression. And when those things start to happen, it creates a domino effect. So as that domino effect is starting to happen, what happens is we drag our childhood into our adulthood. So as we're dragging our childhood into our adulthood, things that we dealt with as a child may seem familiar. So sometimes we may find ourselves gravitating, just like I just said in that dream, gravitating towards certain people that you feel like you need to fix, or not only fix, but you feel like they're a project in a sense, or, a specific type. Okay. Like women who have children, or women who are single parents, or things like that. Or, someone who looks like, everything is, everything that glitter is gold, and it is not. Okay. If you find yourself being gravitated to those type people, or a specific type of person. Okay. Sometimes you have to sit back and realize and ask yourself, why am I being gravitated towards this particular type of person? Because sometimes if you can associate this back to your childhood, and I say all that to say that sometimes your inner wounding is somehow associated with your inner wounding as an adult. Okay. So again, you may pick locations, people, jobs, as well as romantic partners, or people that you so-called interested in, or even friends that you're interested in. You may be picking them based off your traumatic experience that you may have had for a child. So this is the important reason why it's important to heal that inner child, because when we don't heal that inner child, that wounds again follows us into our adulthood. When it follows us into our adulthood, it affects every area of our life until we heal it. Okay. So sometimes people can find themselves repeating patterns, repeating cycles, repeating patterns in a sense, because again, that was something that was not healed. Okay. So when in any situation, whether it was a situation of maybe you may have been a latchkey kid as a kid, okay, all those things, maybe your parents may have forced you to do something that you didn't want to do. It could be an instance of, maybe your parents had to work, so therefore if you felt like you had to either be the man of the household, or you had to be the woman of the household, take it how it resonates, you had to cook and clean for your mom or for your siblings, or take care of your siblings, all of those types of things. Okay. All those types of things can cause people to grow up a little too quick. So sometimes when people grow up too quickly, they are in this mindset of, oh my God, like, let me hurry up and leave the house. So sometimes when we end up in a rush to leave home, we can kind of miss out on important things, part of life in a sense. And not only that, but sometimes, we can be blindsided by just even things that also, even though if traumatic events may have happened, let's just say if a parent becomes single, sometimes that parent does the best that they can do. Okay. With what situation, what circumstances that they have. Okay. So if a father left the home, or if a husband decides to leave the home, in a sense, it's almost like, it shifts things in people's reality. So what ends up happening is, one or two things going to end up happening. Either that mother is going to go into protective mode of her children, because she realized now she has to play mommy and she has to play daddy in a sense. And I say all that to say that, she understands, a healthy mom would understand that she knows that her job is to make sure she protect, love, care for, make sure her child is good, make sure that, her child is listened to, and that her child is able to feel safe. Okay. And I say all that to say that not only that, but you allowing your child to explore this physical world in the process, while they're doing that, the parent is supporting them. Okay. So be mindful of that. And someone who is unhealthy would kind of come in a form of, they just kind of think of, about themselves, excuse me, where they just kind of think about themselves, and they're not doing, some cases, people are not doing this intentionally, but they're doing the best what they know how to do with what information that they have. Okay. Because sometimes that parent could also have their own inner woundings in a sense, so therefore they could be coming off a little unhealthy in a sense, to where it's affecting that child, if that makes sense. Okay. Whether it be both parents or whether it be one parent. Okay. But so keep that in mind as well too. But again, as kids, sometimes we have to remind ourselves to be the parent that we wish we had as a kid, and not to repeat patterns and to repeat cycles with kids in a sense. And more importantly, to talk to your kids, to listen to your kids, to make sure your kids have a safe space for them to be able to open up to you. Because if there's a child who can only speak to one parent, and they feel like they can't say anything to you, or if you feel like you got to drag stuff out of them, maybe you should just look and ask yourself, like, have I created that safe space for that child? Have I been open, and have I been vulnerable enough to allow them to be in a safe space? Have I talked about my issues? Have I been vulnerable enough to explain to them things that I have been through, so that way they can understand that, no, you know what, I am also, I know how to express empathy. Okay. I know how to be empathetic. I know how to listen. I know how to be attentive. Okay. So those are some things that you have to keep in mind as well too, because you may find out, when just allowing your child to talk, there could be a lot of things that you may find out, but you really could help your child by kind of telling your children some things that maybe you have went through, and that can help save them from some emotional trauma as well too. Because remember, what is stored up in one's DNA is passed down to their children, unless you heal it. Okay. So it's almost like when you recognize the signs, if you take and heal it, then it's almost like you can stop those patterns from being repeated in a sense. Okay. So anyway, so it's a matter of you trying to reclaim back your inner power, whether you feel like a parent may have stolen it from you, whether you feel like a person may have stolen it from you, or whether you feel like you just need to call your inner power back in as a child. If an adult, whether outside influence or inside influence, if they made you feel a certain type of way, reclaim your power back. Okay. That's very important to do, because I know I had to do that. So, but also too, being real and authentic to yourself as well too. So sometimes you have to realize and understand, if you can't be thank you, Spirit, if you can't be yourself around other people, then you might want to reconsider your friendships. Because, okay, sometimes, again, as I said, sometimes people can flock to something that seems familiar, and it can seem unhealthy, or it could be unhealthy, because that could be coming from that place of your inner child needing to heal that wound, which is gravitating towards the unhealthiness that they seem to think is for them, and it's not really for them. Okay. But sometimes the lessons will keep coming in different people, but the same lesson. Okay. So if you find yourself in situations, again, where people just kind of up and leave your life, or you start to kind of bump heads with people, it's just letting you know that you no longer resonate at that frequency. So when God is asking you to do something and things are not working out, it may seem like it's okay, we're going down this path, but then all of a sudden it's like, okay, that's what you're going to keep finding yourself experiencing until, you realize again that God's ways is not your way, in a sense. Okay. Because he sees all, he knows all. So the other message that came through with that as well too. So speaking to your child, because never know what your child could be experiencing. Okay. And just you being real and authentic with your child. So when you open up and be real, authentic, and raw, your children can do the same thing as well too, because now you have created that safe space. But It's important to really talk and listen to your children and hear what they have to say. If you're being fearful of the unknown, any fear of unknowns that you may have is only going to intensify. Okay. So whatever you don't address, like right now, whatever it is that God is asking you to do, whether it's speak your truth, or to do something, or to act on something, or to go somewhere, or to whatever it is that God is asking you to do, that energy is going to only intensify. Okay. Okay, so this, I'm done with that message. So this other message came through as there are some people who may have been trying to, let's just say, energetically throw stones. Okay, so when, you know, when people try to throw stones, in a sense, it's almost like what they say, like sticks and stones may break our bone, but words will never hurt me, kind of like similar to that. So it's almost like some people, are really being tested of the fear of the unknown, as I said before. So therefore, there may be some people who's trying to energetically throw you stuff, in a sense, but it's almost like you like, no, fuck that, in a sense. Like, you pick up these stones and start throwing it back at their asses, in a sense. Okay, that's how you know that you're reclaiming back your power, and you're not just sitting there and allowing them to do it, in a sense. And I'm not talking about literal stones. That's why I said energetic stones. Okay, energy. I think that is, hold on. So yeah, remember that you have to ask yourself, was your innocence stolen from you as a child? You heard my phone, right? Was your innocence stolen from you as a child? Okay, think back on to that time, because again, your innocence in the situations that you keep finding yourself in now is only people who keep gravitating towards you, or you keep seeming like they seem familiar to you, in a sense. It's almost like familiar of trauma bonding. Okay, trauma bonding, remember that, it's a real thing, meaning like something seems familiar about that person, that you associate your childhood trauma from them. Again, single parent, like what I just said, right? Okay, so this was another message that I received as well too. This one is Job 23:10 and 11. It says, but he knows the ways that I take. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold. My feet have closely followed his steps. I have kept his ways without turning aside. Okay, hold on, I got one more. I had to screenshot these the other day. And this one is important because I just said that energetically somebody was trying to throw stones, right? Okay, and this is where you need to reclaim back your inner power. Okay, this is the second Timothy 1:7, and it says, for the Spirit of God gave his, for the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid. Okay, but gave us power, love, and self-discipline. Okay, so you have that inner power. You carry the power. Anytime, you have to give your power away. Okay, nobody can take it. So if you energetically give it away, or if you physically give it away, then I don't know what to tell you. Okay, but you have to give it away. If you give it away, then that's okay. So let me erase that. So what I'm trying to say is, no one can take your power away from you. You have to give it away. Okay, that's all I'm saying. No one can take it from you. So it's almost like them saying, give it to me. And if you choose to give it to them, then that's on you. Okay, but if you choose not to, they can't take it away. Remember that. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. But remember, yeah, so anyway, until the next message, I'm going to end it here. I wish you all much love, much light. Until the next time. Bye.